Hi guys, today we're going to be continuing our series of What If Deku Had Genshin Impact Powers. So we start off out of the 9-month training arc where Deku is going to take the exams, where he at night is just playing with his abilities, just has dinner, and last day of the 9-month break. Next day, he's just practicing with his elements a little bit more, and just goes to the school where the exams will take place. So of course, he easily passes the first half of the exam, IQ exams. Deku's just smart like that. Telling you. And then we have the battle exams. Now, the Mike hero, of course, tells them all about 1 pointer, 2 pointers, and 3 pointers. And unlike the anime, it also includes the 0 pointers. Anyways, now is the start of the exams. So unlike in the anime, Deku's not actually scared. He is actually the first one to go into the battlefield right after my guy just says, my guy just opens the door. Right before he said start, Deku had already turned himself into lightning, blitzing past everyone and already is defeating the robots. Everyone thinks this is unfair, but my guy just says, as a hero, no villain will wait for you. So go, go, go! And suddenly all of the students are flooding into the room. And thing is, Deku has already destroyed 10% of the robots by using his cryo abilities and his electro abilities only. Cutting every single one of the robots he sees in his sight with a blade made out of purple thunder and his sword. He even tries a new move out called Rising Volt, which summons multiple purple specks of lightning that come out of the ground, surprising everyone to a certain extent. Then every single one explodes, stealing multiple people's kills. The mechanical hero literally has to fix all the robots. Yeah, has to repair them with his quirk repair. Or we could just call it metal control. I don't know if we aren't even trying to focus on him yet. With this, the teachers quickly summon the 0 pointer. And everyone's just running. However, in this version, Deku is not scared and just sends some electromagnetic waves into the robot, destroying it completely. Oh, and in this version, Uraraka didn't even have enough time to get trapped under debris. So yeah, the robot could barely do anything. And the strange part is the teachers weren't even that interested in Deku, since for all they know, they knew that he was supposed to be quirkless, so they just think that this is some sort of technology. And they're mainly looking at other participants like Bakugo, who's just focusing on the robots. And this is the end of the exams. Deku full scores past every single record. except for the highest one, All Might. He was 5 points lower. And of course, because of this, he doesn't get in. Since heroes don't necessarily use technology unless they're like weapons. And for all the teachers know, he could have possibly just been using some technology to control elemental powers. So for some unknown reason, he wasn't accepted into the school. However, he doesn't let this stop him. As he does end up getting into another school called VY. Yeah, we're just going to call it VY. Passing the entrance exams. Except in this version, the entrance exams aren't robots. However, instead, they're fake villains, which of course my guy easily defeats just by using his cryo abilities, basically freezing the whole area like Todoroki. And then, so unfortunately my guy had to go to school a week late. So he's just getting, so he just goes to school playing with his elements a little bit more. However, he notices, why not copy Todoroki to a non-certain extent? By putting cryo with pyro. Now, to any normal person, this obviously would work. Todoroki can't even do that. However, he uses his fire to make basically an extra limb and covers it with his cryo element, still being able to move it. So he can basically make frozen and yet movable limbs. So this can make up for him not being able to control cryo to the point where he can move his objects. Also, in this 1 week, he trains mostly his dendro element, since currently that's one of the things that I think he would personally need to work on. Especially since dendro is probably one of his most overpowered elements, having 3 features. 1, he thinks that if he completely masters it, he might be able to use the life energy of basically and practically everything around him, which would most likely give him access to mystic arts, too. Its second effect could be that he might be able to drain life energy out of people. That would be an overpowered ability, especially against some villains. However, if he's facing anyone with a nullification quirk of some kind, then he might not be able to do that. And finally, the ability to control things that aren't just leaves and plants and vines, since nature is quite literally anything. So anything that comes with nature, he might be able to control, including all of the main elements that he has. However, he doesn't think that he's actually going to try to do that, since, for example, if he tried to copy his electro elements, that's not possible. Also, pyro doesn't necessarily come from nature. However, if he ever does get to control lava, I guess that's a possibility. And finally, he gets introduced to the whole entire class. Obviously not going to be explaining them, but I'm only going to be explaining a few of them in the test. Because like Aizawa and UA, of course, our teacher, Kagan, That's not his real name. His quirk is basically the ability of weather control. That's quite literally it. Like Aizawa, of course, they have to take tests. So this is what I would be saying, but like I said, it was a week after. So let me just explain some of their quirks. So remember the water girl? Hima. Hima's quirk basically allows her to control basically any slime-like substance. So she basically has a quirk that makes her body like Rimuru Tempests. That's practically what it does. This also means that she can control water. And basically anything that's a kind of liquid. So maybe in the future she'll be able to control lava or something. So her quirk is decently overpowered. Then we go to Kashi. So Kashi is actually a person from one of my web novels. Mangaka, One Piece. That's not necessarily its actual web novel name. You can go check it out though. Has like 1 or 2 chapters yet. So Kashi, like in the web novel, has a quirk that allows him to control shadows and darkness. You are gonna see a lot of elemental quirks here. And then we have Nagata. Nagata's quirk is basically the ability to control sound waves. And by sound waves, I basically mean he can control sound. His voice and others. He can even control light. Let's say someone tries to say hi. He can make it sound like stop. So he can basically control someone else's voice, including his. He can even make it so that sound itself doesn't exist, which is actually one of his abilities called Sound Zone, but let's go off of that topic. And this is the last one I'm explaining, Kaga. Kaga's quirk, he's actually the brother of Kashi. They have two different quirks, by the way. Kaga's quirk basically allows him to control a blue energy that he calls flux. You've probably seen this in one of my web novels that I've updated. And Adam turns into a god really updates a lot of times. But yes, again, going off of that topic, those are all the students I will be explaining. You can think of more students, like their names, their quirks, and maybe even backstories, optional, and other things like that. So finally, you go to the next stage, which is an early test for what people's hero names would be. UI actually is basically a branch of UA, except UI was actually made first. UA is just taking its teachings a bit slower. If anything, it's kind of like the post-copyright version. However, everyone thinks that it comes first. However, UI actually came up with all of the teachings that UA teaches today. Just way faster. And of course, I won't be explaining any of their names except for our main character's Deku's name. Asura. I decided this because Well, I mean, of course, sooner or later in the future, with all of his elements, he's going to be able to control, like, elemental limbs, so, like... And he'll obviously have that as his main power, which reminded me of something like Asura. So that's the name I came up with. Just now, too. Also, after getting away from school and having like 12 hours left in the day, he actually buys a new sword with a blue crystal in the middle of it. Strangely enough, the only reason he actually got this is because the crystal had a hydro symbol on it. And the buyer didn't even know why. He just said that he found it from some unknown guy. So the guy he bought it from didn't even know where it originally came from. And like he thought, it works with cryo and hydro perfectly, enhancing both of their abilities by at least 2 times. He also focuses more on his sword training, since he thinks that he might be a little bit sloppy. And he's gonna stop and train more of his elements when he gets to the point where he can at least beat Zoro in no sword style, which is gonna take a while. Zoro's overpowered AF. Anyways, that's gonna be the current end of this recap. Like I said, if you have any suggestions for the recap, for the story, please put it in the comments. Bye-bye.